Alright, ANZAC, Canada, and France, turn 1. Purchases, Canada has $7 to spend. It's going to save all $7 for the beginning of turn 2. The French, of course, have nothing to spend. The ANZAC have $10. They're going to spend $7 on a transport and save $3 for the next turn. There is only one combat this round, and of all of the countries, it's the French. And basically they're going to sacrifice their 2 ships in Sea Zone 93 in going into the Italian Navy in Sea Zone 92 to see if they can bust that up a little bit. So that's the only thing we have to roll. So we'll get that ready on the board and get started. Right, the naval battle for Sea Zone 92. The French destroyer Verdun and the French cruiser Algérie are going up against the Italian transports Oceania and Victoria, the Italian destroyer Leone, and the Italian cruisers San Giorgio and Taranto, and the Italian battleship Littorio. So we have a 2 and a 3 for the offense. And they miss with both. And so we have a 1 for the paired transports, we have a 2 for the destroyer, a 3 for the cruiser, and a 4 for the paired cruiser, and a 4 for the battleship. 2 hits. So that ended that very quickly, and the French do not inflict any casualties on the Italians. Okay, non-combat, we'll start with the Canadians. The infantry and artillery in Ontario are going to be moving forward into Quebec. The 2 infantry in Scotland are going to be moving south into the United Kingdom. And if we come around on this side of the board, the 2 infantry in Egypt are going to be moving into Transjordan. In terms of French moves, the French infantry in Syria is going to be moving south to Transjordan. The French infantry in French West Africa is going to be moving east into French Central Africa. And the French destroyer in Sea Zone 72 is going to be moving up 2 spaces to join the British fleet in Sea Zone 81. In terms of ANZAC movements, here's what we have happening here. The 2 fighter planes on New Zealand are going to move over to Queensland. The cruiser and the battleship in these 2 sea zones are going to move into Sea Zone 54 off the coast of Queensland. One of the 2 anti-aircraft artillery is going to be moving up from New South Wales to Queensland. The 2 infantry from New South Wales are going to be loading onto the transport in Sea Zone 62 and landing in Dutch New Guinea and claiming that for the Australians. I believe that is the only movement that we have for the Aussies. So we'll tidy up the board and we'll come back with placement. Alright, in terms of placement of new units, Canadians didn't buy anything. The Aussies built a transport, which they have to build next to their factory in Sea Zone 62. And the Aussies are going to go up $1 for claiming Dutch New Guinea. So, on the income tracker, they go from 10 to 11. Now, in terms of income, the Aussies collect $11. They had $3 from last time, so they're going to put $14 in their treasury. They get no national objectives until they are at war with the Japanese. The Canadians had $7 that they rolled over from last turn. They're supposed to collect another $7, but wait! There is a convoy happening in C-Zone 106. Now, again, as I mentioned, I think in one of the previous videos when I rolled a convoy, the new rule is that it is +1 for every ship. So I'm guaranteed at least 2 here, but I can get up to 3 simply because Quebec is worth 2 and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia are worth 1. So I have 2 subs, so that's 4 dice. So basically if I get anything here, I get automatically 3. And I got the 4, okay, +1, so I got 6 technically, but it's a maximum of 3. So the Canadians will lose $3 in convoys. So they will carry over $11 to the next round instead of 14. Okay, so $11 will go into the Canadian Treasury, and they will be able to spend that next round. Okay, so let's do disposition of forces. The Canadians are relatively straightforward. There's 2 infantry, 1 artillery, and 1 tank in Quebec. There are 2 infantry in the United Kingdom. And then way over there in the Levant, in Transjordan, there are 2 infantry there as well. Now, in terms of France, let's go around other side of the board. I could have done that from there, but okay. In the United Kingdom, France has 2 infantry. In French Central Africa, there is an infantry. In Transjordan, there is an infantry, and in C-Zone 81, there is a destroyer. As far as the Aussies go, there is an infantry in Malaya with the British contingent there. There is a destroyer, or sorry, not a destroyer, there is a transport in C-Zone 45, and there are 2 infantry in Dutch New Guinea. In C-Zone 54, there's a cruiser and a destroyer. In C-Zone 62, there's a transport. In New South Wales, there is a anti-aircraft artillery. In Queensland, there's an anti-aircraft artillery, a regular artillery, 2 infantry, 2 New Zealand fighters, and an Australian fighter. And then finally, in New Zealand, there is a single infantry unit. So that's the ANZAC Canada France turn. Germany 2 is coming up next.